Guys. All right. For a nation based on laws over the whims of the powerful, and for a historic arc towards greater tolerance and enfranchisement. Nation based on laws over the whims of the powerful. Tell me something. Does that include stuff such as electing a person who is basically taking over all industries and making himself the de facto chairman of all of them, screwing stockholders out of their dividends, and a whole bunch of other nifty things that economically our current commander-in-chief is subjecting us to? Don't know, but let's continue. In my view, being a liberal means you believe that we are better off when we live for each other than when we live only for ourselves. A little bit of collectivism mixed in there. That's the simplest motivating idea behind our politics. Our cultural identity as liberals and the book I'm now touting the country with, 538 ways to live, work, and play like a liberal. Could only come up with 538? Yeah, it's not very impressive. Try 1,000 next time. All right. One of the best ways to live like a liberal this 4th of July is to read the Declaration of Independence, the document that makes this the day we honor. For one day, people would be willing to listen if you read it aloud. For this one day, they would think you were crazy, or if they did, their mouths would be full of barbecue burgers anyway, so they would not object. In the second paragraph of our nation's document is a phrase that is echoed for over 200 years and should resonate through the centuries to come. Pay attention. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Separation of church and state, and then we're talking about a creator. That's a tough one. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Consent of the governed. That's a good one. Now, he's going to basically proceed in the next bunch of paragraphs, which I'm not going to read all of, to argue that this argues for his line of politics, which is pretty kooky, basically. You got to do a lot of logical sidestepping, but since there's no logic in politics, it's to be expected. The first part is famously embraced in American rhetoric and equally famously ignored in action, such as creating massive unemployment numbers through socialistic nationalization of industry, and then telling us that we'll never see those jobs again. Kind of interferes with the pursuit of happiness, doesn't it? Let's continue. While trumpeting equality, our country has not always lived it. However, this founding text has given the great protesters and change agents in our country's history the rhetorical ammunition to call for progress. While America has not always lived up to its ideals, our ability as a nation to evolve to meet these lofty goals is one of the characteristics that makes America great. The call for equality is not reflected in the anti-immigration zealotry of the Tea Party. Here it comes. Recognition of the pursuit of happiness is not present in the campaigns to prevent two people in love from getting married. But it's okay to interfere with everybody else's pursuit of happiness by insisting that their tax money endorse that wedding. And for the record, I'm talking about every wedding, not just gay people, not just lesbians, not just transsexuals, polygamists, and all these other people, but straight people as well. Why should anybody have to pay taxes so that somebody can get tax breaks by deciding who they want to cohabitate with? It's a good question. All right. Now, going on further, our side has far more standing to invoke these lines our founders wrote. A holiday that champions equality is a liberal holiday. Wait a second. Let me get this straight. The Declaration of Independence defines the pursuit of happiness only as the gay marriage issue, which personally myself, I take a hands-off approach on that stuff. I'm not getting involved in that. If two people want to cohabitate and do whatever, it's none of my business. But please keep your hand out of my wallet while in the process. But other stuff such as the right to run a business without being shaken down, no happiness to be found there. Nothing involved with the pursuit of happiness. You know, your pursuit of monetary wealth in order to continue the economic expansion and also to obtain things for your own personal enjoyment. Ooh, that's not pursuit of happiness. That's being a greedy capitalist or whatever the hell they'd say about it. Anyway, moving on, there is one more part here that I want to read right now. So when you see a Tea Partier waving a flag, give them a hug for supporting gay rights, immigrant rights, and civil rights, because that's what that flag represents to us. All right, and from there on, he just rants on and on about a bunch of random crap. Let me just tell all of you something real quick here. One of the things I like about the 4th of July is getting together with other people and basically having a good time. And experience has taught me that that rarely occurs when politics is discussed. Politics is an ugly business, and it's best left up to people that are willing to be ugly from time to time. But nobody wants to be ugly all the time. People want to take a break from this stuff. So, speaking for myself, if I'm just going along minding my own business, having a beer or something else like that, and somebody comes up to me and gives me a hug for supporting gay rights, which I do support, I'm going to respond by kicking their ass on general principle. And if it means spending a day or two in jail, it'd be well worth it. Just because I was able to assert my right to deny someone else their right to violate my right of a pursuit of happiness, which is eating burgers, drinking beer, watching fireworks, and not having to listen to any of you brainless twits. So, I got the link in the description, so go ahead, feel free, read this article, and laugh until you hurt, because that's probably what's going to happen as a result. With prudence to myself and benevolence to all of you, good evening.